As y'all can tell, Christina's out, so the reason I have so many sticky notes. All right. That's all I have for the chairman's report. Y'all got the lengthy one Friday at the last meeting. Business involving guest groups or multiple visitors. Miss Bobby Rooker. Come on up, young lady.
Thank y'all for taking time to listen to me for a few minutes. This is the end of 2021, things that we did, and I'd like to share it with you. Due to the pandemic, everything was kind of slow. Normally we do over 2,000 individuals a year, but this time only 1,061 individuals was served with food. We went through 43,932 pounds of food that was given out. For the Christmas program, we did 148 children. They got toys, they got clothes, they got food. So they were very well served this year, and we're so proud of the community kicking in and making that possible. We had 9 families that received Christmas trees and also the decorations that went with them that were donated. Some of them came from Target out of Clark County. We take them out of Clark County too. So if they want to donate it, we go get it. We had $1,120 worth of power bills mobilized for 5 of our clients that was fixing to be cut off due to they didn't have the money to pay for it. That's one thing that we really need in our county is more outreach for power bills and other assistance. Since we don't have the charities and Salvation Army here, they do serve Madison County, but they have to go into Clark County. And our critically ill program, which we serve 6 individuals, that is, they do an application, doctor's statement, and they receive $200 worth of food every month geared to their needs. And some of them have cancer, some of them have real bad heart trouble. It includes the pens and booths. And so they get that every month on the first Wednesday of the month. They also were sponsored for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They received fruit baskets and meals for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And also we had a group that sponsored actually Christmas gifts for those individuals. And some of them, when they received the grip all backed up and packaged up and with a big red bow, we saw some tears. So just because they're older and elderly, they still like we saw that. And that's where my heart's at. We also had several families that we assisted with clothes, blankets, hygiene items. They all get hygiene items when they come and receive food. And that's our report for last year. And we're looking for better times this time. Maybe the mandates will be let up and we can open up and really kick back in. I want to thank the community and y'all for supporting us as a food bank. Thanks for the gravel driveway, it looks nice. Thanks for TC fixing our sign that the wind blew down. So thank y'all so much. And when you come by 98, stop by and see what's going on.
Miss Bobby, before you leave, I know you've got a trailer donated to you for a storage right now, and you're fixing to do a big clean out.
Yes, that's what we've been working on it. Leanne, she would be here today, but she's on a cruise. When the work gets tough, she leaves and goes on a cruise. But she's had it canceled 2 or 3 times, I think, but so I'm glad that she got to go. But yeah, and we're going to start really getting in there, and we've got a lot done already. But
is there anything that you'd like to tell the public while the Madison County Journal is documenting every word?
I see it.
If you need help in any way, please turn to them for reach.
We will, and we've all got all the, I think, we're going to use some of the inmates to help us move our stuff. We got all that planned out, and just really excited, ready to get it done, get some new shelves in there so we can put some more stuff in there. And thank y'all so much.
Thank you for what you do for us, young lady.
Thank y'all for making it possible.
Thank you, Ms. Bobby.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on tonight's agenda? Go ahead, Mr. Steve.
Well, I know a lot of you gentlemen. Makes me nervous. Because I don't live in Madison County. I live part-time in Oglethorpe and part-time in Oconee. But I came to that meeting that y'all had with the Industrial Authority sorting out the water and sewer issue. And I just came to encourage you guys to go ahead and form a water and sewer department. You're the only county that I'm aware of in North Georgia. You may be the only county in this state that doesn't have one. And you're going to experience some growth that is not really associated with the Industrial Authority. You know, it's the water and sewer departments is just it's a totally different entity. Okay, why would I even bring it up? I'm the first landowner that you meet when you enter the county. I'm right beside Crossroads Church. I have 19 acres there. And last year I was approached by condominium and apartment, two different groups. One was apartments, the other was condos. And there's not available water there, available sewer. You're using the plant there, right now is at a 50,000 gallon a day capacity. You're using roughly 10. It's not even enough usage to operate the thing correctly. It's got to have about 25,000 gallons a day. Well, I contacted the engineer that built the plant, and he said that there should be state money available to expand that plant. It can be doubled in size to 100,000 gallons. With that, and so it's not like I don't want to sound like I'm lobbying for some apartment complex. I don't know who's going to end up on that property. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, you know, but it's going to happen eventually, and somebody's going to need the sewer capacity. And so I just want to encourage y'all as commissioners. Y'all are, from what I've experienced in the past, as humbly as I can say it, you're the most like-minded group of people that's been on this commission as far as what the future of the county, what you're pursuing is the future of the county. And so with that, I just wanted to open up a can of worms for you guys to debate at another time. But I would look forward to eventually buying my wife a condo off of that property.
Just for the record, could you give us your last name?
I'm Steve Ebbert, E-B-B-E-R-T, and my address is 1070 Godfrey Place, Athens.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, y'all have a blessed evening. I hope it all goes well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else here who'd like to speak on tonight's agenda? All right. Hearing none. Zoning matters, Mr. Canoa Scott.
Sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. We are proud to come before you tonight to let you know that the planning and zoning is pretty busy. It looks like we're going to get a lot more busy. We've had some difficult things come before us, but we have a good board, and we have a lot of discussion, a lot of good questions to the applicants, and hopefully we're going to recommend to you some things. The first on the agenda tonight is Jimmy Garrett and Candace Presley are requesting to rezone the 5.01 acre parcel from A1 to RR. to subdivide the existing house and 2 acres to sell. They would like to build a new home on 3 acres. The property is located at 280 Horace Reed Road on map 23, parcel 136, C2 in District 1. The recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission was to approve with a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here? Anything you'd like to tell us, sir?
No, I just hope y'all approve it.
Anybody else here to speak in favor of? Anybody here to speak in opposition of? All right. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve or deny Mr. Garrett and Ms. Priestley's request for rezone.
I make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Adams, a second by Mr. Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
There you go, sir.
We can take that sign out of the yard tomorrow, right?
That's when you go out, if anybody wants to see, tell me there's a couple right here.
Okay, our second rezone request is one that we don't see much of. Mr. Barrett Lord for Interstate 85 Services. He is requesting to rezone this 45.5 acre parcel from A1 to industrial. The property is located at the corner of Highway 98 West and D. Williams Road on map 2, parcel 6 in District 1. This will bring a few jobs to Madison County. The vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission was 7-0 to approve. We did not put any conditions on this, but it's to approve.
All right, thank you, sir. Is the applicant here? Mr. Lord?
Yes.
Don't mind give us a brief description of what you plan on doing, sir?
Sure, no problem. My name is Barry Lord. My address is 437 Sam Brown Boulevard in Commerce, Georgia. And what we propose to do is rezone this 46.5 acres to industrial, to possibly build 2 10,000 square foot warehouse office buildings. The access would be off of D. Williams Road, so there wouldn't be any access. We wouldn't ask for any access off of 98 there. And this is in line with the future land use map. When we looked at that, it lines up with that, and that's all I have. If you don't have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if I can.
So 20,000 square foot of office space.
Well, warehouse and office.
Warehouse.
Yes, sir.
May I ask, what type of warehousing will you do? I mean, as far as items, is it?
Well, we've talked to a couple of different companies, and one of them was like freezer space. You know, there was a company that was looking for a freezer space between the Athens area and the 85 area. And then that was the main one we've talked to thus far.
But you don't have any, you wouldn't have outside storage?
No, sir.
No refrigerated trucks?
No, sir.
Trucks dropped, and no hazardous waste storage?
That's correct. No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is anybody else here to speak in favor of? Is there anybody here to speak in opposition of? All right, young lady.
make me nervous.
Nah, it's a work session, speak freely.
My name is Jane Osborne. I live in 1611 Red Cedar Road, which is in back of the golf course there. And I just want to make you guys know that this is a neighborhood. And we don't need to start having warehouses that we have no clue, you have no clue what they're gonna put in there. We don't need more transfer trucks. And I would just like for you to understand that this is a neighborhood. There's going to be, I think it's 16 new homes going to be built right across the street from these warehouses.
Is that the driving range area?
Yes, yes. 16, it's gonna be 13 to 16 homes, and I'm not sure exactly.
That's in Jackson County, is why it's
Yes,
not
it
on our
is.
map.
Yes, it is. And we are in Jackson County also.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted you to know, it could be your neighborhood next.
Please. All right, anyone else here to speak in opposition of? All right, hearing none. I'll ask for a motion from this board, or any discussion.
Applicant has an opportunity.
Yeah, you have an opportunity for rebuttal. Okay, thank you. Any discussion, board? I have a motion to approve or deny Mr. Barry Lord's rezone from A1 to industrial. I know there was some emails back and forth today about conditions. Would y'all like to make that in your motion if you choose?
Correct. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make the motion that we approve this rezone request with the conditions that this be for warehouses only, and that there would be no hazardous chemicals or environmental hazards involved in the storage.
And does that need to include office as well as warehouse, or are the offices related to the warehouse?
They're related to.
They're related, okay, so it's a part of the warehouse use. Okay.
How many employees do you anticipate? How many jobs do you anticipate this to be?
Just right off the bat, we projected maybe 25 per building.
You understand the condition that he's asked? Okay.
And that would be for the whole property.
I understand, gotcha.
I have a motion by Mr. Chandler. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Doster. Any discussion, gentlemen?
I have a question, or, I don't know if it's a question or stipulation, but my concern or my thought process is the access that's proposed off of D. Williams Road is still going to generate enough influence on Highway 98 that I think the state DOT is going to want to review it and probably have a concern there for either decel lane, upsell lane, or both. So I want to know what, I'd like to defer to their guidance is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And whether that's a stipulation or not, you know, I'll add it, to see what they, you know, if that's a.
Absolutely. I think that's appropriate.
And you're across Highway 98 from the golf course.
That's correct.
Would it be your intent that you would plant some buffer?
Yeah, our intent was not to clear cut the whole thing, and yes, sir, we would.
And you'll maintain a buffer?
That's correct, yes, sir.
That'll go through y'all crews?
Yes, sir. As well as the road aspect when it comes to, can I talk about it?
Yeah.
Sorry. The roadage, or frontage with the road, working with GDOT or Jackson County or our road department together would be part of that permitting process with the inlets and outlets, that he submitted to y'all. When it comes to the permit, we'll hammer that out. As far as that is, the road frontage, it's mainly timber, and it backs up against, 12 Broler houses right there on your right as you cross over the property line. So there's a buffer on both properties. They're coming through there.
Yeah.
This parking area in the back, would you fence that, Mr. Lord?
Yes.
The only thing I'll add to that while we're in discussion is, you know, obviously the zoning already has its setbacks. It already tells you about the shrubbery, all that stuff. So you'll be fine as long as you follow the county zoning ordinance on that aspect of it for setbacks and or buffers. That's all I have.
Just to comment in general, my thinking on these conditions, and sort of loosely in the comprehensive plan, there's at least some recognition that we will experience some business pressure from that end of the county because of proximity to Highway 85. We do not have any specific plans at this point. Maybe the comprehensive plan will guide us to, but we don't have any plans at this point for what I consider to be major industrial park infrastructure. I mean, we don't have plans for, there is an 8-inch water main in that section of 98, but we don't have any plans for 12-inch water supply. We don't have any plans for sewer up there. So that was the reason for my, in my mind, I think of warehouse as light industrial. But if you grant an industrial zone without conditions, then anything that fits an industrial zone then could qualify there. So that's my reason for those conditions.
Yeah, well, I read the email. Great request. I'm glad you actually put the conditions on it because it does save us in the future from potential plan of sorts. All right, with that said, any other discussion? Hearing none? Brian?
Yes.
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 Motion carries, sir.
Our third and last request. Gentlemen, you can tell by the vote of this one that this was a difficult one. This was something that the planning and zoning spent a lot of time with, and hopefully we made the proper choice, but you can see it was very close in vote. So this is one that's going to have an impact on whatever is decided on this one that will probably impact a lot of places all over the county. Tommy Barrett is requesting to rezone his 3.13 acre property where he's moved his trucking business from RR to business. The property is located on map 51, parcel 7-01 in District 4. The vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission to recommend denial of this rezone request by a vote of 4-3.
Okay. It's only 3.
I'm sorry, sir, there was a typo. The acreage is 3.43.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Barrett?
Yes, sir.
Sorry for all the trouble I'm causing.
Some people are just like that.
Bothers me, seems like. I'd like to give a brief explanation of why I'm asking for zoning change. First, I don't have any plans to use a property differently than I have in the last 20 years. I'm not expanding my business. I've never told anybody that I was. I was shocked to hear that someone else has said that I was going to build a trucking terminal, buy 10 trucks, and just get busy with it. But some days I don't even want the truck that I have to drive myself. I've talked to all my neighbors that I can reach out to. Nobody has had a complaint, and I try to be as courteous in the neighborhood as I can to ease in, ease out, because I live right down the street myself. I've lived there for 40 years. But because of the one complaint, county officials recommended to me that the best way to request was a zoning change. I'm requesting a zoning change because the county officials told me that'd be the best solution to go forward. I live on my New Haven Church Road most of my life, and I've driven a truck since I was 25. My father died in '99. I inherited a piece of property. I built a suitable driveway to put off of New Haven Church Road for the property for my trucks to use. And over the years, I've employed 2 or 3 truck drivers at a time. I hire good people. I've had good luck with it. They follow the rules. I drug test them to be sure that our business operates safely every day. I've lived in the community all my life, and no one cares more about keeping it safe and peaceful than myself. I currently have 2 trucks, drivers that drive my truck that leave out of that property. We do everything possible to limit distractions. We don't run lights, we don't run backup beepers, we don't play music, we don't rev engines, don't blow horns. We run the engines minimum cranking to get out, warm them up and leave. Same way when we back them up, we park them, we shut them down. We don't swap trailers, we don't load, unload trucks, we don't any of that. So all we do is back the truck in, park it, or crank the truck and leave. There are, I feel I've been more conscientious about trucks in the community. As far as garbage trucks, there's chicken farms on both ends of us. So there's chicken truck traffic daily, nightly, there trash trucks, school buses. I try to keep all well-maintained driveway. My trucks don't overburden the roads. The school bus drivers ask permission to turn around with my driveway, so they've done that for the last few months as well. I try to keep the noise at a minimum, cause any distraction, not to cause any more distractions in the buses or the garbage trucks, chicken trucks. I run a respectable small operation that provides jobs. My use of this property is not a burden on the roads or the community. Jerry Cronick stated at the planning and zoning meeting that he was an anonymous person who complained. I've never received one complaint, not even from Jerry Cronick or any of his renters in 20 years. I respect my neighbors. I'm asking for the zoning change because it's what I've been advised to be the right thing to do. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, anyone else here to speak in favor of Mr. Barrett?
Yes, sir. My best friend is James Dinsmore.
Come on up to the,
He lives right across the street from Tommy Barrett.
what's your name, sir?
Malcolm Myers.
Malcolm Myers.
Yes, sir. He can't be here today. He's having some issues with his heart, some stent problems. But he asked me if I'd speak on his behalf. He lives right across the street from Mr. Barrett. And he said he tried to call up here, talk to some lady to tell her he couldn't get a hold of her. I don't know who he was talking about. But he says he has no problems with Mr. Barrett's truck. He said he never hears him leave in the middle of the night. You know, he just don't have a problem with it. He don't really understand what the issue was all about. He'd be here to sell, but like I said, he's $100 a day. He's got some heart issues, so he asked me to speak on his behalf. I briefly know Mr. Barrett there. I've talked to him, run across a few times loading stuff. But like I said, James he's a pretty respectable guy, and he didn't have a problem with Tommy at all.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I live across the road too from Tommy's shop. Been there 6 years. I don't have a problem with it, me nor my wife. It's never been a burden on us at all. So.
What's your name, sir?
Darrell Wilson.
Darrell Wilson. Thank you, sir.
Oh, I'm Mark Barrett. I don't have a problem with Tommy. He seems to be doing all right.
I didn't even recognize you.
But, no, I never hear him. I sleep harder than most folks, though, but I don't ever hear him. He don't bother anybody there. Like I said, we've been there for a long time, and I'm like Tommy, nobody cares no more about that community than we do, so I don't see so much problem there. Just want to give my 2 cents.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of? Come on up, young man.
Thank you for calling me a young man. My name is Greg Sanders. I live on New Haven Church Road. I'm a next door neighbor of Tommy's. I've been there for about 2 years. Never had a problem. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to Alpharetta every day. Never had a problem with any of the trucks, any of the noise. My wife and I are there. No problems at all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor?
Yes, sir. My name is Kate Ivey. I'm a friend of Tommy Barrett. I live off Maplewood Lane. I've done a lot of dealings with some of Tommy's trucks. They're all in good condition. They're safe to operate on the roads. They have the proper exhaust systems. They're quiet. They're not intrusive. I mean, it's well maintained, good equipment. It doesn't cause any hindrance.
Can I have your name one more time?
My name is Kate Ivey.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else in favor of? That's all right. Nothing. That's your name, sir?
You know.
For the record.
Well, my name's Callaway Baxter. I'm speaking in favor of Mr. Tommy here. As all y'all know, I'm in trucking too myself. So I was just speaking in favor of him, hoping y'all would approve it as. So.
I got you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I'm Kathy Jacina. I am a adjoining property owner. I don't live on the street, but I have no problem as far as being an adjoining landowner if this is changed, and hopefully so in support of Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sitting too long.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Pruitt, seems like this problem came up when we changed from RR to B. It's been trucking business there for the last 20 years. If there was no problem about rezoning, there wouldn't be anybody here talking about it. I mean, there's lots of folks over the county that's like Tommy that started a business close by where he lives. Like my dad, he started the grading business there behind his house, built a shop, run it there for the, 51 years. But I'm sure if we started the business back up now, it had to be changed to, from A1?
A1 to business.
A1 to business. I mean, where are you gonna move all these businesses to if you can't run them behind your house? I mean, he started out working for farmers and the business grew. Tommy's maintaining his business at a smaller level where he can maintain it and look after it. So I don't see any problem with it. Because if you deny his request to it, there's lots of other folks over the county that are in the same situation. And there's probably a lot of us farmers out there who sell hay to the public. When you get right down to it, we're a commercial business. Most poultry farms are commercial business. Because the poultry farm doesn't own the chickens. The integrator owns the chickens. All you do is furnish the water and the house. So I mean that, I have no problem with it and ask you to approve this rezone. Thanks, sir.
So what was your name?
Paul Simmons. Everybody knows me.
Take that one, but
Hi, my name's Sylvia Lowe, and I'm here to speak on behalf of David. We just have to look at the big picture here. How many tax dollars in gasoline has he sent to Madison County by his trucks? 'Cause I do a little bookkeeping, and so I know what percentage goes to each county of each gasoline tax dollar. So he's spent a good bit of money on gasoline for these big engines. And, you know, if it's been working for 20 years, let's just don't fix it if it's not broke, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here in favor of?
We're not finished quite yet.
My name's Wayne Pitters. I work for Tommy. I live at 61 Edwards Lane. And you couldn't ask for a nicer person, and we take it as quiet as we can when we leave. We try to be respectful and come back in, and I vote y'all approve it. Thank you.
Anyone else in favor? We should have just lined you up.
Hey, I'm Judge Blackman. I live at 1059 Whitewood Road in Hart County. I work for Tommy Barrett. I've been working for him for about 6.5 years. And like I say, I try to be just as respectful, you know, coming in and out, be quiet, because I know it's at night time. So I hope y'all will approve the rezone.
Thank you, sir. And
Okay, we're finished.
Hey, my name's April Griffith. I am a lifelong resident of Madison County.
And for about 12 years, I lived on New Haven Church Road also. All of that time, and then on through today, of course, Tommy's always had big trucks there. He has always been respectful with the trucks, and in all of my time that I live there and now, I've never heard of a complaint. There's a reason for that. I don't mean to get off the subject, but when Tommy drove trucks himself on a daily basis, he got multiple safety awards. And not to toot Tommy's horn, but there's a lot of character that goes involved. He was always a safe driver, which is important in the community too, and he makes his employees uphold those same standards. They don't fly up and down the roads. They're very cautious. And also, they're respectful. They're respectful of the neighbors and the community with all of that, with the noise and the way that they drive and maintain themselves. They work with a lot of integrity. And I guess that's the reason we've not had complaints in over 20 years. I, too, am a local business owner, and I know and am saddened by the effects of COVID, not to bring up that terrible word, but I'm saddened by the effects of COVID on small businesses. And the thing that bothers me the most is the work ethic, how bad it's affected work ethic. Tommy has an excellent work ethic, and he's an excellent person in our community. Madison County needs more people like him, and they need more people like him to run small businesses. The employees that he hires, again, have that excellent work ethic, and I think it would be a shame to try to shut something down that he's worked so long and hard to build. So let's all do our part as a community and support our local business owners and allow him to continue doing business where he's been for the last long time. I don't even know how many years. And lastly, I want to just say thanks to you guys. I know that's often a thankless job, what y'all do, but I appreciate you letting us all speak and working together to try your best to please the residents and the business owners. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor of?
I guess you know me.
Still got to state it, my friend.
I'm in favor of it. Tommy's an upstanding fella. You know, I live down the road from him. I own a truck. You know, it's business. So, like the rest of them, I think he needs to have it approved.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor of it? All right.
My name is Gavin Griffin. I don't know if I'm last and that makes me least or what, but I don't know that I have a whole lot to add. I think y'all have heard a lot of positive response. I guess my thing is we try to support local business, being local business people, but I know y'all hear a lot of different things and have a lot of tough decisions, but I just hope at the end of the day y'all try to use common sense and support, let him keep what he's doing, that he has already been doing. I know, I don't think there are any plans to make any big expansions, so just speaking in favor of it.
Thanks, sir.
I'm Jackie Barrett, Tommy's wife, and I'm speaking so that Gavin won't be the last and least. But there's nothing else I can say, y'all, that hasn't already been said about Tommy's integrity and his work ethic and how he manages his company and his employees. So I'm asking you to please give him his rezone and so that he can continue on and continue to provide jobs for his drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Anyone else in favor of it? Anyone here in opposition?
Yes, my name is Jerry Chronic. I live on 2965 New Haven Church Road. Not any of these that has spoke lives nowhere near as close as I do. I have a rental house within 50 yards of the business. I personally live roughly 100 yards from the business. These trucks, particularly this past Sunday, they was up there running all Sunday afternoon, working on it. Now, they can say they're not working out of that shop. I don't know what they was doing all Sunday afternoon. Maybe he does have another shop somewhere else that's taking some of his major things that he can't personally handle there. These trucks is leaving anywhere from 1:30 at night to 4 o'clock in the morning. They crank them up.
We've been in the dark.
So we didn't pay the power bill?
Thank you, Miss Bond.
They crank them up, they leave them sitting there idling for 15 or so minutes. And I understand the diesels. You need to warm them up before you take off in them. This business, this piece of property that they broke up was eventually agriculture. Okay, and he personally is the one that broke it up from his dad's estate. Why, since he's been there that long, his dad hadn't been passed away that long. Why did he not zone this business before he moved in there on it and worked out of it for 15 years? I mean, why was it not, when it was rezoned to rural residential, why was it not rezoned business at this time? And I know it's beside the point, but they are adding on to this building. And none of these that spoke lives nowhere near where I live. I'm the closest resident there. There is 9 rural residential pieces of property adjoining that, including a couple pieces of mine, across the street, down the road, to build new houses down the road. I just don't think this, personally, would be within code. Why can this business not be moved to a business district rather than a rural residential area? And the trucks is leaving anywhere from, and I had a stroke about 3.5 months ago. I've lost 50% of my left side. Wakes me up at night, wakes my wife up. She's disabled. She hit head on in a car wreck. And I just don't think it's right to leave that business in this area here to where, I mean, it's been run 15 years on rural residential property. I mean, I think that wasn't within code. I just think it needs to be moved to a business district, and like I said, there's 9 residential completely around it. Some of them that spoke does not live nowhere near where this business is.
I think.
Plus, they putting an addition on to it also, so I don't know which direction it's going in.
Now, I think the addition was stopped. I mean, when they were notified of the addition, I think the addition ceased work right there. To the best of my knowledge, correct? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Anybody else in opposition?
My name is Patricia Chronic. I am Tommy's aunt, and I would like to clarify some of the things the way this happened. I have lived in Madison County most of my life. I'll soon be 70 years old. And trying to be a law-abiding citizen and back the man in blue. Pay my taxes every year on time. Try to, even though they get high sometimes, I still try to pay them on time. Never been in trouble with the law. Always, never had no kind of ticket. So I'm pretty upstanding in the community. My father owned all this property, where the rental house is at and where his property is at, and down the street just a little ways. When he decided that he wanted to divide the property up, he wanted to give each one of us children, there was 3 of us, he wanted to give us a small parcel to live on. And then at his death, it would be more added to it. At the time, he was getting Alzheimer's, and we did not know it. He gave me, like, the house and 1.43 acres, and then he went and had the lines run about 4 or 5 different times to give me, I was supposed to have gotten 6 acres. So in order to give me my 6 acres, he had the lines run about 4 or 5 times, but his Alzheimer's wouldn't let him go and have it recorded. I was supposed to have gotten the property where that shop sits. My husband built a barn on it. That's what the shop is now. It was a barn to start with. That was my property. It was supposed to be mine, and that's the reason the barn was built there. Part of that barn still sits on my property. It's not all on his property. I asked him, I had talked to my brother, which is his father, about selling me, you know, after we found out that it was actually on him. I had talked to him about selling me some property right there in order to not have this problem. He was going to do that, and he passed away before we could get it done. Then after they had the lines run, and Tommy came to me with saying, you know, that barn is on my property, I asked him to sell me. I didn't want his whole inheritance. I asked him for about 1/4 of an acre. I said, I will buy it to get this resolved. And he wouldn't do it. So therefore, we're in this situation we're in now. That like my husband said, I am disabled. I was in a bad car accident 6 years ago. I am under doctor's care for chronic pain all the time. These trucks wake me up anywhere from 1 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I have trouble sleeping as it is with the chronic pain, and I just don't think it's right. I mean, he pulled power from my 911 address and never contacted me on it. I mean, I don't know how that happened and how Jackson EMC actually got a meter up there on my 911 address at the house and it not being having a permit or anything like that. And yes, those people that rents the house did know that there was a trucking company there when they moved in, but they did not know what time them trucks was leaving. They thought it was a normal trucking company that would leave out, you know, at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that, when everybody was getting up. They didn't realize it was going to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you know, whatever time they could, you know, leave. And that's one of the reasons that we're here now. So.
Thank you, Ms. Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else speak in opposition of?
Hi. I'm Tammy Allison. I'm the one, my family and I, we live in their rental house, which is right beside this business. I don't see anything wrong with anybody making a living, taking care of their family. I give them that. But that's also what I'm trying to do. I have elderly, disabled parents that I'm taking care of, mental situations, a lot of medical, and they're the ones that I have to get up all through the night, calm them down, medicate, possibly take to the hospital if needed, because these trucks do rev up during the night. I don't know why somebody says they don't hear them. I can record it if I need to. I'm not trying to be ugly. it is what it is. Mr. and Miss Cronick are very good people. They help me and my family out. And I don't doubt that these are not good people as well, especially when they're related. But a lot of things that has been said is not true. They are very loud. During the day when they go in or out, they're no problem. They don't rev and speed and whatever. But during the night, it's ridiculous. The man, my understanding, owns other properties. Why can't he move his trucks to there? So,
I understand. Thank you.
thank you.
Not yet. Anybody else in opposition? All right, hearing none. Mr. Barrett, you have an opportunity to address what's been stated, if you would like.
I think I'm good.
Understand. At that time, the floor is closed. With the floor closed, gentlemen, I would entertain a motion to approve or deny Mr. Barrett's request for rezone.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve this rezone request as presented with two conditions. One, it would be business zone for the operation solely of this business. And then when Mr. Barrett decides to close the business or retire, then the commissioners at that time will have the opportunity to review this rezone and potentially revert it without question at their discretion at that time.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mr. Chandler with conditions. I have a second by Mr. Kurt. Everybody under discussion, board? Everybody understand the conditions?
I understand the conditions, but just so I get clear in my mind the dynamics of all this. Miss Cronick, Mr. and Miss Cronick, you're Mr. Barrett's aunt or sister?
I am Tommy's aunt.
Tommy's aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And the barn or shop building in question that's kind of on this property right now, there was never property lines drawn prior to construction of this building?
The property that, my father left me was like the house and 1.43, which was deeded to me at the time. And he had went back and had other lines ran to give us more property at his death. But with Alzheimer's, he had them run about, my brother Wayman that passed away, he said, I've done paid to have these lines run 5 times, and I ain't having them run no more. You know, and that was his mind. And I was supposed to have gotten 6 acres, which would have included the barn that we built right there. And then after my brother passed away, and my dad, Alzheimer's, he was in the nursing home and couldn't do anything else, then it was on my brother's property. And he, you know, like I said, I asked to buy the little property right there, which part of the barn is on me. It's not a barn anymore. It's just been turned into a shop. And, you know, part of it's on me and part of it's on him. That's why I asked him to sell me 1/4 of an acre. I have some pictures if y'all would like to see them.
We have it here in front of us, or at least we have a drawing with the corner of the building over it.
This is the picture, that's the actual property with the trucks and all this, if y'all would like to see those. I mean, I don't know if you do or not.
I think
But
we're closed.
just so, and here again, I'm really trying to get my hands around this. Mr. Barrett, it was your dad that's Miss Cronick's brother.
Yeah.
And do they live in this parcel that's next door to you?
No, so that's my grandfather's homestead, home place, where I grew up at. That's their rental. The rental.
That's a piece of rental property
That's
now.
right, that's one of those,
That's where I was born and raised.
Okay.
I think on this request, the reason for the conditions, and this is maybe a little unusual, but maybe not too atypical from a lot of what has gone on in the county. Mr. Barrett, without his knowledge, obviously has been operating in nonconformance. It's been going on for 20 years. Shame on us maybe for not having picked up on this, and so we don't want to condone nonconformance. At the same time, this business has been operating for 20 years, and I don't think it's appropriate for us to penalize or to punish Mr. Barrett because of our omission as a county. The protection I would like, I am concerned about the potential thought process of us creating a business zone out here in the middle of what would be considered all agriculture, or maybe agriculture and residential. And that is the reason for my condition that once Mr. Barrett decides to close this business, then this business would be the only business that would be allowed to operate there. And then when he decides to close this business, then the commissioners that are seated at that table would have the opportunity to look. And if in their mind at that point this is not appropriate to be a business owner, then they would have the opportunity to move it back to its original classification.
And I'd like to make a comment that I second this because my father-in-law for, I don't know, 25, 30 years ran a trucking business on Macedonia Church Road, which is right down the road. And if I had been a better driver, I might be running it now. So, But anyway, and then we have, as Terry has alluded to, we have situations in this county that are like this, and we don't want to condone, out of compliance stuff. But it's been sort of grandfathered, these things have happened. So we do need to put some logic to this and, put someone out of business that's been operating for 20-something years doesn't make sense to me. Okay, that's just my thinking. And so we're going to address some of this stuff in the comprehensive plan, and we use on the roads, and going in the future, we're going to try to avoid this. But we're going to have to deal with some of these on a case-by-case basis. This case, I agree that what we're doing with the conditions is the best option we can so that Mr. Barrett can continue with his business, and also that in the future, when that business ceases to operate as that small business or whatever, then it can be reverted back to just, a potentially reverted back. That'll be up to another commission board, but to do that, to take it back to just the agricultural A1 that it was.
Mike, is that okay for us to do that?
I was going to suggest a modification because zoning, it runs with the land. It's typically not personal to a particular individual or business. So what I would suggest is a condition of approval with a condition that the use is limited to a trucking business and there can be no expansion of the existing facilities and no increase in the intensity of the existing use.
The reason I say that, because here again, we have businesses that are all over the county, very similar to Mr. Barrett's business here, and I just want to make sure that when we do this, we get the verbiage right, and we're not just kicking a can down the road for somebody else to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. Now, that's why I was going to make that suggestion, because I'm a little concerned about the validity of saying this business, this owner, but again, I think if you say condition to it has to be a trucking business, and there can't be any increase in the intensity of the use that exists now, nor any expansion of the buildings and facilities there, I think that's an enforceable condition.
Recognizing that, Mr. Barrett, would that be acceptable to you?
Now, there was one thing that actually brought this to light was they were attempting to get a permit for an accessory building. Now, that not being a part of the building, would that not being part of the business, would that be allowed, or do?
Well, I mean, under language I'm suggesting, no, it wouldn't. So is that something that does? But if the board wants, I mean, you can modify. I'm not making the motion. You go, or you could modify it to put that in it.
It's my understanding that that's on that parcel. You're asking for totally different deal, but you're asking to build a building on a different parcel, correct? So the same parcel?
It's on that parcel, right. Now, it's not involved in the business.
It's not involved, I parked my motor on my RV and was the.
That's the reason I asked that
Yeah.
question.
Oh, I
It would be an
see.
accessory
Okay,
building,
yes,
not,
okay.
had nothing to do with the business.
Gotcha, yeah.
Nothing to do with.
So there wouldn't be any, the way,
You wouldn't be expanding a shop or building a 3-bay shop or a 2-bay shop. You're building basically a storage building for something there.
On my RV, correct, yeah.
right, that would be fine.
Would it be better said if you limit the expansion on the number of trucks?
Could do it that
And
way.
then, and that way he can add a building or whatever if he chooses to park a camper, a boat, or a farm tractor in. But meaning the business expansion can't exceed the number of trucks he owns today.
I think that works, that might work better.
And that way it would still be able to.
Again, that would be acceptable.
I'm fine with that.
Well, here again, I guess I would have to, my greatest concern here is, honestly, if this is not approved, then we are gonna have an avalanche of protests regarding existing businesses that have run for years in this county with without issue with anyone around. With that being said.
Yeah, so it
I'm
sounds
good.
like.
If Mike will provide the verbiage.
Yes,
for
sir.
this, I'm good.
Yeah, and I think what we're all getting at is we just want to limit the approval to the existing use and the intensity of the existing
Yes.
use.
Okay. So, I will, change my motion to amend it to the verbiage that the county attorney recommends.
So it's on condition that,
So you'll have to change your second.
I'm seconding it.
that it would only be used for a trucking business, and there'd be no expansion of business facilities,
Right.
and, no increase in the intensity of the trucking business use.
So you're saying that I can add on, add a police department?
You can put other
Yes.
buildings up for
Oh, I
other
understand.
use,
I'm not-
other purposes, but not for
Right, I'm not
trucking
building
business.
a truck shop, I understand,
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
Now, that part will come between you and the code officer for the permit
Yeah.
part, yeah. With that being said, any more questions?
What is the barn being used for right now?
Storage,
Just storage?
yeah, I just storage up there, just basically park my trucks up there is all I do.
Okay. I've just Googled that, I was just kinda looking, and when you pinpoint the thing, it's, Marcus, the mobile mechanic, have you ever heard of that? Did you see that? I pulled it up and have no idea, I can't find background, cause I got it as well. I think Google may have confused us with Morgan County, maybe, and it's on the outside of Madison.
Well,
No,
it
he actually
can't find it.
exists.
No,
The guy
there-
actually exists.
There is actually, up somewhere off of Jot 'em Down Road, there's a cul-de-sac up there that a lady has a son, and this story goes on forever about this, but he moves every time his service truck moves.
I got you, so they
Okay.
just dropped the pin at the
So
wrong
they
place.
just dropped a pin on a satellite photo there, and
But I tried to figure it out.
I mean, it's.
Also, if you look at GPS on Macedonia Church Road, my residence 210 is on the other end of the road, or it was until about 3 months ago, and they finally straightened that out.
So you moved your house to the right place?
Yeah, I got my house in the right place.
Derek?
I was just gonna share, I empathy for both parties, and I do think we're in a situation where, whether it was right or wrong to begin with, something that's been carried on for 20 years, I think the law even allows adverse possession in about 20 years, so you can actually take somebody's property. That's a whole different discussion, but my point being, the length of time that's been there, I think we do have numerous businesses throughout the county that would probably facilitate that. So I'll support the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Kirk mentioned grandfather. We looked at a lot of different avenues here to try to make this as palatable to everybody as possible. this is not qualified by definition of grandfathering because it actually was not in place. Mr. Barrett's business was in place at the time of the adoption of the ordinance, but it was not in place in this location at the time of the adoption of the ordinance. So it would not been allowed just purely based on grandfather. So that facilitated the need, or required the need for us to. And essentially what we're doing here is we're bringing him into compliance.
All right, with that being said, no more discussion. Derek?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Motion carries, your rezone passes. I will say this, quickly, and I'm gonna try to allude to something a little bit different than what the guys already stated at the table. Had you come in here, Mr. Barrett, and asked for a rezone in that location tomorrow, no businesses existing, it would not have passed.
I think that'd be safe.
I just want people to know, the public, we are trying to stick to our comprehensive plan the best that we can predict how it's gonna go. At no point, had that business not been operating 20 years, would this ever went this way. Yes, sir.
As chair of P&Z, I want to understand the motion that I've heard, so I can go back and tell him exactly what it is. Now, did you say that once this business ceases to exist, that it would automatically go back
No, sir.
to?
No.
It would have to go back before commissioners again?
We did ask that question. Mr. Pruitt, he straightened us out on that. We have no authority to bind future boards of commissioners to decisions. So if,
But the way it would normally work, and this is called sort of, you hear the word sort of amortization of non-conforming uses in these situations, and it sounds like we may be having a number of these coming, and this would be the pattern for how it's handled is you allow the specific use to continue, but once, this is so narrowly tailored, it's by all intents and purposes, it's going to be for Mr. Barrett.
Right.
And when that use ceases to exist, the board can then do a board-initiated rezone to put it back to RR or whatever is appropriate, and that's when we get back consistent with the land use map.
Okay. Last comment. On behalf of the P&Z, you know, we've got a book to go by. This is the rules and regulations, you know. And I want you to know that this was a hard decision for us, and we did what we thought was the appropriate thing to do following the rules. Now, we all had empathy for Mr. Barrett, we all had empathy for the people that's doing this, but it was difficult. And I think, you know, you guys worked on it very well, but I want you to know that the P&Z did not take this lightly.
I think y'all did an excellent job, and it can be seen by the vote. You stated earlier it was a hard job, so yeah. And that's the other thing I want to make sure the P&Z knows, that we do trust those. And I'll tell, there's another issue that's coming forth, and people have been calling me, and I tell them that let the P&Z board look at it before you start bombarding me, because I respect what they say.
But to my case at point, when I was
that's a
discussing.
good response. I'm going to have to remember that.
That was a good one, yeah. But just so everybody's clear, we're not spot zoning, we're not going in the middle of rural residential, and we're not making it a business. We are allowing a business that's already been in operation 20 years to continue to be in business for 20 years. Correct?
Correct thing to non.
And continue waking us up at 1 to 4 o'clock in the morning.
I totally understand, Jerry. I totally do. And I'm friends with everybody in this room, pretty much. I know about every one of you, and I'm good friends with every one of you.
When he already owns commercial business that he can move his property to?
We need to do some.
Yeah,
Let's just,
I don't know.
we got that. Yeah. Let's move on to our.
But that being
Hey, if they want to expand, I'll just sell him. Just move on over. I'll be glad to sell. It's for sale. It's for sale, because I'm not gonna live there and listen to it.
All right. Old business. discuss request proposal by Casco Session. I told y'all earlier there was no RFPs on that. Honestly, this is gonna go back before the rec board to decide how they would like to move forward, or what, if we have any ideas for them how to move forward as far as concessions goes. I'm sure they would be open to those suggestions.
We'll make some seats for those in the back, right?
Do we need to dwell on number 4?
No.
All right. And number 5's already been cleared up. New business discussed. Adopting a resolution amending the Code of Ordinance flood plan. Mike, my note says ask Mike to advise on amendments.
We asked everyone who's just talking to leave the room so the folks in the back can hear flood.
Yes.
I have a question about 4.
On number
What
4.
will happen now since you didn't get anybody willing to do concessions?
Well, he just said we would talk about it.
Yeah, so we went out for RFP, request for proposal, and no one submitted a bid on it. If you're interested in doing something with the rec department, as far as doing the concession stands, I would get with the rec board at that point. They've got an agreement filled out that you can work through with them, and then it can be presented to the Board of Commissioners. But from our standpoint, based on what we proposed, nothing came back, so there's nothing to discuss.
So the rec will run them if they don't get anybody.
Well, the rec's gonna run them either way, or at least the contract will be through the rec. But if you're interested in it, most definitely speak with, hey, I've got to stop, that's all I'm hearing. Most definitely get with them. I hope you are. All right, so, with, any other questions on that? Did that answer your question?
Well, I just didn't understand why the schools went
All right, so I'll elaborate a little bit on
different
this.
sports, because I don't understand why our county can't let, say, softball or baseball or football or whoever run the concessions and not make a profit off of them.
We would be, ma'am, to answer that question, we'd be glad to if they would simply just say we'll do it as a nonprofit or as a fundraiser. But that would be something they need to take up with the rec department board and with the rec department management. But I'm sure they would be glad to allow somebody to do that as long as the service was consistent with what's expected of the citizens who utilize the rec department. But the issue I believe that's been voiced about that to date is, you know, nobody wanted it all the time. You know, they'd be glad to take it if there was a tournament, or they'd be glad to take it on a Saturday, but nobody wanted it on a Tuesday or Thursday night, and that type situation. But here again, that is something that's under the overview of the rec department board itself, and then we would just simply approve it as when we're approached by it.
And I think you alluded to if the cost went away. The only cost incurred there is a minimal just to cover the power bill. If it was an outside source, let's just say Zaxby's wanted to say, we're gonna do it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. At that point, they would pay a small percentage just to cover the power bill. I mean, it's minimal. It's not 20%, it's not 30% of gross profits.
But if it's the school, when you get that, y'all wouldn't charge on the percentage, is that what I'm understanding?
When you refer to the school, what are you talking about?
Like any of the sports programs, say, I know the high school softball used to do Diamond Hill concessions.
Yeah.
Or if you had the baseball team take a concession stand, or if you had the basketball team doing it as a fundraiser for their program.
I think that basically when you're talking about that, that's still an organization that's not really a school organization. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's a club. Booster club. So they just need to work, if they're interested in doing it, they just need to work with the board to come up with that. And then, you know, the cost of those has to be covered. Now, the board can recommend to the commissioners whether it's beneficial enough that the county should cover it or not. But that's the kind of things y'all need to discuss and to see, you know, if we're all sort of helping each other out, it might be something we could consider, but then again, that's up to the board to make that decision, you know.
I would assure you that if it's a nonprofit, as far as a high school associated team, it would probably be well looked at as not a percentage drawn, versus an outside vendor. At this point, just an opinion only, we're better off with vending machines. I know that sounds like a smart aleck answer, but that's not how it's intended, but there is no staff. We can't find them. Don't think we're gonna get them. There ain't no such thing as a softball girls team that's wanting to raise money on weekends. There is no such thing as a high school football team wanting to do it. Not trying to get off topic at all, I just, it's that bad. Well, I'm gonna lead to one more thing, and the reason I tell you it's that bad is not the Pilot Club, the Lions Club, during our Madison County Fair, which I soon to believe will be going away due to the lack of volunteers. Last year, we had to pay deputies from another county to park our cars. Reached out to the Boy Scouts, reached out to the Little Leagues, the baseball teams, reached out to the football teams, nobody parked the cars. It paid way more than Madison County Rec Department would have paid them. And still nobody volunteers because it's too easy now to go out and get donations, knocking on the door, and people support those ideas versus working for it. So I don't see a great big change in a real quick pace. So I think spring sports may be truly be vending machines. I don't see another way around it. I don't want that to happen. I would love for somebody to call me tomorrow and say, I got a group of kids that's willing to do it Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If that happens, praise Jesus, because I need it.
That's crazy, because I know there's money to be made.
There is a good bit, but
You gotta have the number of games
yeah.
in a night.
You still have something to add to it?
I can tell her that as a past president of the soccer boosters, all the booster clubs are individual entities. They are not, the only relationship they have to the school is their parents of the kids. They are separate. They fall under separate regulations as far as that's concerned. So, but we will not turn anybody down if they come to us and say, we want to run it. Because two things that we get fussed at mostly is there's no food out there. But when we don't have the staff to do it, we're picking and choosing where the most games are. And then somebody up here is going to get mad because that one's open and this one's not. But right now, we've got 600 plus kids signed up, and we don't have enough staff to have scorekeepers and concessions.
With that being said, I know Brian's got a good background with Madison County Youth Association football team. That is normally a mandatory parent mom of team mom works the concession stand. And that's fine through the MCYA because they're a separate organization. If you try to pull that at the rec department, when people say, we pay for this, how you gonna make me mandatory that I'm the team mom, that I gotta work, and they're not gonna hear it?
Well,
so it makes it a little more convoluted.
It's still all volunteer, and,
yeah.
you know, and the concession part of that MCYA, it doesn't happen at the rec. Football doesn't have anything at the rec department currently. And that's by choice. They could if they wanted to, but that's by choice because the high school has offered all the fields over there to do it, and the coaches over there support that. Now, you know, softball and some of those other supports help to support some things up there, but they don't have as much involvement at the rec department. You can speak to that. So, but this whole concession thing, you know, it comes down to, like they said, staffing. And it's tough to get enough people just to, you know, when you start looking at high school students and softball players and stuff like that, because we need officials for games, it's tough to get those kids even involved for the little bitty kids, you know, because you can't hardly find enough officials that are actually in the official leagues, you know, that are actually trained officials or professional, as we call it, officials. So you have to rely on these high school kids. And it's hard to even get those for that. And they're not going to want to do concessions. So if you got a group of folks that wanted to bid this thing, and you pull them all together, say from a bunch of different booster clubs, and they wanted to raise money and then share it, if you could get enough volunteers, then you could talk to the rec board, and then, you know, y'all could basically get a contract to do it, and then make that money and share it, so. You know, those are the kind of things you might have to think sort of out of the box on if you're thinking about that. That's just an idea, you know.
We'll listen to anything.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we will listen to anything. We're trying to keep everybody happy.
New business, discuss adopting resolution amending code ordinance for flood.
Yes, sir. So when Christina talked to DNR, they said that after looking at our ordinance, that our flood ordinance is fine, and really all we needed to do is add the swimming pool and spa code to our list of minimum building codes that we enforce. And Eddie Pritchett said that's good with him. So I actually did a new resolution and sent it to Christina's email late this afternoon. Of course, she's not here to get it, but so there'll be a new one that at your business meeting where all you're doing is adding swimming pool building code to our list of minimum codes.
All right, thank you. Do what? That's the old version. He sent her a new version today, it's updated.
Yeah, the one you got, changed the flood ordinance and made some bigger changes to the,
So this is full.
yeah. There'll be a shorter one that's all you're doing is adding swimming pool code.
It'll be on vote on February 28th.
Yes.
So, discuss abandonment of a portion of Matico Drive. Gentlemen, what you see in the drawing is actually a footprint. It does not really exist. That cul-de-sac with that spur going in was deeded to the Madison County Road Department, or Madison County government, as a cul-de-sac, but it was never developed into a cul-de-sac. It currently is a grass field. This is the property that SMI has under lock, and they want to combine that to make one large parcel for their facilities. So again, that'll be up for your vote on the 28th.
So that there is no improvement in that area of it, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think we got a water tank sitting in that road.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how old it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would expect that's probably something the corporation wants, just to clear the title. But yeah.
That and to do away with the other parcels and combine.
And so they can combine them, so, so if that's the board's, I'll get we'll get the ad in the paper, and, no, there's only there's just one adjoining landowner, which looks like it's got some poultry houses, so I'll get that letter out. And you'll do it on February 28th meeting?
Yes.
Okay, we should have time to do that, no problem.
I don't know, I know they're trying to move as quickly as possible with their expansion, so.
Right.
Discuss public concerns with the Madison County Recreation Department. So tonight, I was originally prepared to have Shelley and Darrell Woods come. Shelley contacted me at 2 o'clock today, had a death in the family around 12 o'clock. And she had asked me to postpone it, and I told her that would be fine. Not knowing that Darrell was going to come to help potentially answer any questions. If there's any you would like to ask Darrell while he's here, you're welcome to. There is one thing that I want to state to this board or ask of this board, and it's due to the seasonal employees. Seasonal employees currently, Tracy, you might help me with this, they're between $8 and $8.50 an hour right now.
$8.50 and $9.
$8.50 and $9. I would like for this board to consider raises for that seasonal employee. Now, keep in mind, these are all part-time, they do not draw benefits, their workload is minimal. But since 2016, we had 32 seasonal help that was paid. In 2019, there was 14, and we've maintained that pace of 14 seasonal help. I've asked Tracy to run some numbers today, and you're welcome to throw any number you think that we can do retention with and or recruitment with. But I personally believe if we go any lower than about $11 an hour, or $10 an hour, whatever you guys do. I think if we go any less than that, we're not gonna retain anybody, nor are we gonna recruit anybody. Now, I say this with the understanding of, my recent venture to commerce and noticing that every fast food restaurant along Highway 441 is starting at $11 an hour. We may be able to, of that 14 people we have here, by the spring of this year or the fall it will be spring when everybody graduates, late in spring, early summer, we're supposed to be losing 5. That's gonna put our rec department to 9 seasonal help. JD, you have 340-something soccer players signed up?
Yep, just in soccer, we got 600 total players, signed up for this season. And that number keeps climbing every season.
Okay, so we talking about seasonal. What jobs does the seasonal help do? Just to give us an idea.
Scorekeepers, field supervisors, concession help, things like that. It's just somebody comes in at night, works it, and then shuts down and goes home.
Right.
They're there 3 and 4 hours.
All right, so those are some of the things that we hear complaints about because we don't have enough of them, or we don't, are they not? Okay.
Yeah, we just.
So to get quality people, we're gonna have to pay you.
Well, and day camp. A lot of the seasonal help out during day camp, summer day camp.
Also one of them, but that's, we kind of push that.
Okay.
Would it be possible, Todd, to give Ms. Dake and Mr. Woods and Shelley an opportunity to put some numbers together for us? Then you guys give us a rough, how many hours per year we're talking about that your seasonal employees work? And I assume we're gonna reschedule Shelley and the rec department board for our next meeting, and that'd give them a couple of weeks to pull these numbers together, and then we could talk about, what dollars are we talking about then? And then we could put that all in a thing based on a recommendation from y'all, JD. Would that be fair?
Be fair, sir, yes.
I talked to Shelley one day last week about this, and obviously, dollars for the employees are gonna be part of this. There's several changes that have gone on in the rec department, and like the number of facilities y'all are utilizing, you're pretty spread out. And she may have already talked to you about this, but I'd like to see a plan going forward of what too many times when we look at just a budget number, we may look at maybe the number of employees we had last year, and if we keep this number of employees, then this is what our budget would be. But based on the changes that have gone on in the rec department in the last 2 to 3 years, and with the numbers that y'all are dealing with the expectation of where that's gonna be 2 and 3 and 5 years from now, a plan for everything going forward, what you need in order, so this may involve additional full-time help in addition to the seasonal help, and what kind of salary expectations you feel like you will need in order to keep all those positions that you need full, and then whatever other needs in addition to just personnel. So bring us instead of just segregating just dollars for the personnel and just dollars for the seasonal help, a whole picture of everything we need to provide the rec department with the tools they need to operate.
That's gonna be tough in a 2-week time period.
Well,
most people know we lost our assistant director.
No, I did not know that.
She resigned as of Friday. And I can tell you it's a stress. She was working 50 to 60 hours. She was driving an hour each way. She lived in Gainesville.
Yeah.
She was having medical issues, and the doctor said it was stress.
Yeah.
So she left as of Friday.
Yeah.
So right now, Shelley is JD.
Gotcha. And I get that, but I guess what I want you to do is be thinking beyond just look.
I get where you're going.
Okay.
And hopefully that's what the board can do, but Shelley has those numbers, and I do know that we've kept everything at Sammy Haggard and Brewer Phillips. This season, we're spreading practices over 2 miles, so it's going. And then once we get Diamond Hill stabilized, we'll probably spread out over to there as well.
I mean, everything used to be in one gym. Now, how many gyms y'all operate now?
5.
Yeah. So that's the kind of difference that we hadn't really reflected in your staffing needs, and we need to know that so we can help you address all of that.
Yeah, and I guess you could though probably have at least what your requirements are right at this point
Yeah,
for
we
seasonal
can-
help
we can get
in the
those.
2 weeks, and so that we can go ahead and at least get that one piece of it.
Yes, we can get those.
Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir.
Darryl, do you have any idea, roughly what kind of, I know in speaking with the school board, they've told me that our 10-year census on kids has went up X amount. What do you think it has done over a 3 or 4 year period of the rec department with attendance?
You're probably looking at 25 to 30% increase every year in the number of kids. Yeah, we're losing some to, travel ball, but soccer is not a travel ball sport. You know, that's stick and ball. The volleyball program we've added on is growing. Basketball is growing. So we've got all that. As far as looking ahead, these guys can tell you who's wanting to build condominiums, who's wanting to build apartments, who's wanting to build subdivisions. And it's, from what I'm hearing, it's increasing every year.
Well, I guess to echo Terry just a little bit on that, I'd like to hear, you know, what's your vision, even though we're gonna concentrate on spring sports at our next meeting when we come together, what would be your vision? And I'm just grabbing stuff out of the air. Would it be your intent that at some time you may want to explore wrestling? You know, where do y'all want to
Me
take
personally,
the...
yeah. I mean, they'll tell you, I come up with ideas and I'm throwing them at them. I'm trying to get yoga program back, dance. I've had a lot of people contact me about dance for young ladies. We're trying to get that one going back again, and that's kind of the non-traditional.
Well, that community involvement by our younger citizens is what we all hope for. And, you know, anything we can do to do that, I think it would make this board more receptive to the dollars that it's taking to accomplish that. You know, if we could see some of that put in front of us. I mean, nobody wants every week just to hear the bad things, because most of us recognize and know there's a lot of good things happening at the rec department.
Yeah, and we're trying to, as most of you know, I'm fairly active on Facebook and trying to shoot some of these people down, or not shoot them down, but educate them. We're trying to get a communication out there to let people know what we're doing, and it's kind of tough. The Journal does a great job for us putting stuff out there, but we're kind of limited on what we can do.
Yeah, but he didn't say J.D. threatens to shoot anybody that comes to the rec department.
Well, what he said was, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, J.D., because I have seen where you've been forwarding stuff from the rec department, and that's really good. And most of those families that's got younger kids, they see those on Facebook. So I think that's good. And I guess that if there's some way that we can help, that the commissioner, you know, if we need some infrastructure to help to make that even more so for the rec department, not so much that you're having to do it yourself, but, you know, I don't know if the rec department, do they have their own Facebook page?
Yes, they do. They have two. They have their page itself, and then they have a community group.
And who does those?
Whoever is available with what program they have. They
So
all have
maybe that's something we ought to look into, is just thinking out of the box, of how maybe we can support somebody to help to maybe get more stuff out there on that, so that people are more informed, I guess.
Well, I would love to see the county get more involved in, as far as.
Keith, you can open that back if you like, bud, if you get stuff in here.
Yeah.
But I'd
Thank
love
you,
to
sir.
see the county website to be updated. It's been the
Oh, yeah,
same thing
yeah, the website.
for ages.
Yeah,
But
we need to do that.
incorporate, I mean,
Correct.
I know everybody, when Scott Barrett was in office at Oconee County, he wrote some crazy stuff, but it got people from all over the U.S. watching that page. If we could get, I'd love that kind of exposure. Yeah. And I know Scott, and that was him writing it, but if we could get more of an exposure there, because I do IT work from the University of Georgia, and I play to the lowest common denominator. I can't go to the philosophy department and treat them like I do the computer sciences department. We have to play to the dumb ones, because they're not IT savvy. So we have to shoot everybody. And we have to
I-
deliver it in multiple places so everybody gets the word.
I think Mr. Doster has,
I got, I guess, one comment, and I'll play off of what I said last week, and the rec department's one, and we had the food bank here, so I'm gonna reiterate it again from last week, you know, volunteer in your community. Stick your hand out, raise your hand, volunteer to do something, even if it's for a season. I know what you receive will be much greater than what you give. That's my comment. My question, I guess, is to my board or my fellow board members. Spring sports is upon us. And my concern would be if we wait a couple of weeks and then say, here's what we can do, whether it has to be an official vote tonight or we want to hear what Shelley's and the board, rec board's final numbers are, can we commit at least so advertising can go out that it's, at least minimum $10 an hour, I mean, let's help ourselves.
Yeah, we need a vote.
I think you've done some math today, and Tracy did, and we come up with a round number if it was gonna be somewhere around $10,000 to $12,000.
At what dollar per
Uh,
hour rate?
$10 versus $11.
So we're 9 something now.
We're 9, the supervisors get paid 9, and just the regulators are $8.50.
Yeah.
Well, let's go $10.50, just start somewhere.
Second.
Man.
Yes.
All right, so do I have a motion? I have a motion by Mr. Doster for $10.50 to raise the seasonal help. I have a second by Mr. Chandler. Any other discussion on the $10.50 for seasonal help?
And that's
That's
for further discussion.
For further discussion, but at least it'll fix your flyer that you got out right now that says $8.50.
That turns the knob on the door.
Yep.
Well, should there be a difference between the supervisors and the rec leaders like there are now? Should it be 10 and 10.50 or 10.50 and less?
Well, they can, let's just say the minimum's $10.50 and then they can figure it out, right?
Well, currently your thing on Facebook says $8.50 for seasonal help. Just change that to $10.50. We'll address everything else at a later date.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll figure out who's supervisory help later on.
There you go.
We've got a motion, we've got a
Second, and it's on you, Dennis.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that gives us one step closer. JD, you don't have kids at the rec department currently, right?
Mine are 27 and 28.
So you do all this
Graduated.
just out of the goodness of your heart helping out.
Yeah, I question my sanity every day.
Well,
we thank you.
yeah, we do thank you, and where you put those, uniforms on there, I've had a lot of people comment about how good they looked, where you pass that along in Facebook.
We're trying to get better. I've asked everybody to be patient with us, and I ask everybody that if they bring comments to you or concerns to you, pass them to us.
Yeah.
And tell them to be patient. I mean, the last administration kind of did Shelley wrong by leaving her in limbo for 9 months before we interviewed her for the director's position. Yeah. We quickly got our assistant director in, and now she's gone. So Shelley is playing Lone Ranger again, and she's reaching out to others in the department to kind of help out. So that's a lot going on. I mean, that's 5 different programs we've got going on for them.
Yeah, what I was leading to there, just sir, when I was talking about that, I wanted to make a statement based off of what Derek said about, and actually everybody here about it, volunteers. Thanks to Madison County School System, thanks to all the different programs we have, we're fortunate enough to have ag goats, we have pigs, we have cows, we have soccer, we have so many other avenues now for our children to choose from. But if you look at the pool of census based off the school system, the number of kids that's coming along, where one sport may decline this year, the next sport succeeds the next year. I will say my son wrestled last year. I expected him to wrestle this year. He did not wrestle. He says, I'm going to play soccer. But at no point in time did I throw off on the wrestling team, said they wasn't good enough and they didn't get the staff in and they should have done their schedules better. The fact was there was more choices when I came along and some of these guys came along, you're probably the youngest one at the table, but you had football, baseball, band, and basketball. Now we have 10 or 15 programs. 4-H is huge here. We have a robotics team here. There's so many options for these kids to do that in a way, when you see a sport that's slowly on the decline, don't worry, because the other sports are on the incline. I mean, it changes. It's just a wave. Baseball will be back around and football go down.
Middle school used to not let sixth graders participate in sports. They're loosening that up now.
Good.
Sixth graders can
They have
start doing stuff.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, any other?
I got one more.
Go for it.
I would, this will fall to your shoulders, Mr. Chairman, but I would think while we're out an assistant, that if we could, scroll through our other departments and see if there's some short-term help that could be lent on a departmental basis. If, you know, if we send somebody for a month, while we tune in some other stuff, I mean, if.
Well, that was one of my suggestions I had put out there, is allowing other county employees the opportunity to come work there, whether it be for a reduced rate or whatever. I don't know what y'all can do. But if anybody wants to volunteer to keep scorebooks, I mean, that would free up someone else. I mean, that's not a strenuous job. It can be a little stressful, but.
Can't volunteer to work to do another job in the county.
Yeah.
Fair Labor Standards Act.
Yeah.
But we can move them and still pay them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Didn't think about that.
Great idea. We actually had talked about that, briefly, me and JD has it, but I think we have third party about potentially filling those shoes a little bit with somebody else for a temporary basis anyway, but we'll figure that out.
And we're not picky. We don't care how old you are. If you can, keep score, you can work, if you retire and you wanna do it, come on.
What we've seen recently in the road department is, these retirees that wants to work 24 hours a week, perfect, come on, we'll find you a spot. If you're eligible and able, we find you a spot. And that's what we're actually looking for, to be honest with you. Work out great. They've got 30, 40 years experience already in something. Come on, part-timers.
Just to throw a name out there to help, I'm not sure that keeping a scorebook would be what she would be interested in, but as far as organizational skills and that type thing, at this time, Angela Roush, I believe, is retired.
Yeah, I know Miss Angela.
And she's a member of the state Parks and Recreation.
And that's what she went to school for.
Yes.
She'd be a great resource.
I would almost urge you to approach her, or you would not have any objections as the chairman of the rec board, I would give her a call and just basically tell her we need her for a while. You know, I mean, to help Shelley, you know, facilitate some of the things she's got going on. It would, maybe we should double team her or something, don't they?
She actually would be a really good one to help you be thinking long-term and how to work on that plan.
I tried to get her to join the board when we had an opening, and she said no.
Well, let's just make her reconsider.
Yeah.
Strong arm is what he's saying. This is a work session, you can say these things.
Well, I look at it as a mentorship. She has the years of experience, and to come in and to kind of be a mentor to Shelley and to the others there, the program coordinators and things like that, and bring them up to speed.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Urgent matters, I think we just took that up on that vote just a second ago.
Brian, did you have something?
I don't have anything. It should be interesting.
All right. Executive session to discuss real estate acquisitions, personal matters, or potential litigations.
No, sir.
Hearing none. Ask for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attendance. I greatly appreciate it.
Right now, they got noise out. They make me all smooth before other guys.
We found some cabin chairs. 4 inches down.
Concession stand was presented as being all right. I know my mother-in-law
you know,
Yes.
it's more like you go, what you
You'll
have to
notice
do
he's got Madison, he's got
Robert Cole.
No.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That's really good number.
Well, it's like, you know, MCYA, oh, here, this road, here's, this is it. MCYA, my son,
Yeah.
So, he came to me and said, Dad, can I use your grill to cook a hamburger? I said, well, sure, son. He said, you think you could cook some every once in a while? I said,
It's the same thing, look whose name's on it, I'll turn them over, make it easy.
Look, send me no bill. I said, they ain't got no money. Went over, had it running. So those dogs didn't freak out. But I was really proud.
Then what Brad said, he said about using the grill, then he said, you think you could cook some? Every once in a while, just to help out and cook and stuff? I said, sure. So we ended up cooking every hamburger for the whole season. But I didn't mind it, because I got a grandson.
Yeah.
Anyway, but she got this.
Ben's company donated some fence.
Especially
It's not a good expansion. People would do it, but ask. Just gotta reach out.
That's awesome too, getting the dogs heat.
Oh, yeah. It's been good, man. Been really good. Hey, I just got a text from Mark Jackson.
Every night, football practice.
Yeah. Hard stuff.
Always a Comer.
I thought I'd let you know, have a nice night. That's what I was gonna
But I don't know about school people.
Got to get him out of the creek. Has anybody ever done a evaluation of that? But what it would cost to fix that right?
The only way to do it, you gotta build a bridge.
Yeah, I know. That's the only
Hey, nobody lives on the road. There ain't a house, ain't but one house on the whole road.
So if somebody wants us to leave that open so they can not make a 4-mile go-around, we'd be glad to use half of the bridge cost would be about $3 million.
Derek can tell you probably off the top of his head. That's what he does.
I think we need a solid number. I think we need a solid number to state that.
The point is, we just build $3 million, 2 people just there, we can say, sorry, you're on
You would have to definitely be another number.
It really is.
Good job.
There's a good solution to that. The challenge for that I don't like giving advice. Well, piece of advice, I'll tell you, when you're chairman now, you gotta have a rock solid hand in that meeting. We don't get out of here.
One thing I've said, make the case.
I just let them up front. If there's a line, I want to see somebody cross that line.
I didn't even think about that when I was.
You gotta put some responsibility.
And
what we
I've
did.
seen.
Hey, just send me an email, give me a call, whatever. I'm retired.
No, I agree, I forgot
I'm not right
that
there.
every case
If I'm not down in the courtroom, I'm.
always has the support.
Pretty much that.
You can't get a parent to put up in the court for a kid. That's our problem.
See y'all later.
But they know how to do it, unless, we live in a lazy world nowadays. Hopefully we'll be.
I didn't want to overburden you.
I don't know if you remember me or not, you're a consider department more heavily than anything.
I'm just trying to get it out there.
Yeah, so I have to be really involved in that with Barrett last week, doing something, I don't know what, but, I, don't know what I can do, and right now, no, my kids are old, like yours. But our youngest daughter, she was.
We are doing the
culvert
culvert
this year too, this
Saturday.
Loves the job, did a fabulous job.
It's gonna
Not
get
going to
settled
Commerce, not having to drive all the way to Commerce.
It's just
to work
more
that
of an
week.
in and out
But
kind of thing.
I don't know what I can do,
Okay.
but, and I
next
talked to them
time
about
he's
it,
up
I mean, I don't know
here,
what to do,
I'll
you know, it's
Get
hard.
him
I don't have
contact
to.
with you, cause I think he has met everybody but you and Frank May,
Yeah.
and or had a
Yeah,
chance
because
to
that's
speak.
well, I didn't make it to the.
Sure, yeah.
And that's where, Terry, because I talked to him about that.
Right, that's what, if I can help anywhere with that, I don't want to talk about social media.
Well, he's gonna come, for February. I think next month he's gonna come speak at BOC also. So that'll be another chance for
Y'all,
y'all
the
to
people who are irritated and have had kids on the rec department for 15 years is not very helpful. So if we can help engage the younger people and the people coming to the county so that there isn't a negative perception, because my kids play travel ball, but they still play rec ball. They understood the benefit of community. They love the coaches. They love, being able to see their friends at church, all around them. And it saddens me that the perception is that there's some sort of negativity or not. It's such a great place for my kids played every sport.
The negativity is coming from the people.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody on the,
Right.
chose not to sign the bill.
Yeah.
This was used to, they're still mad about it. This is why they out and get out of here.
Yeah.
If you need to go, 'cause I know they'll.
But, from a different perspective, our middle one came all the way through, played at the rec department, the freshman All-American,